Today, I am going to talk about 7 strategies of dealing with mental impurities. These 7 strategies are not about what other people said, but explained by Buddha himself. By understanding these 7 strategies, you will be amazed at Buddha's approach for the mental purifications and for improving the quality of daily life and daily living. His teachings are very much relevant, even if they were taught 26 centuries ago, when modern science is still almost non-existent. During those times, people live very simple life. They eat very simple food. They go about from one place to other place by using primitive means of transportation. They don't have complex technical appliances and gadgets which we use today. But they still have the same social issues and mental issues. Even though the social issues and mental problems they face are far less than what we face today. And to this time, we have a lot of problems associated with so many things due to technical advances and also the very liberal thinkings. There are many things which comes up against accepted social norms and thinkings. Regarding mental health problems, there are a lot of mental disease, which you may never heard completely in detail. Life is always the same, regardless of what time one lives. In ancient times and modern times, because people are living life through spiritual being, not only through physical being. They have physical problems, physical issues for physical body and physical condition. And same way they have mental problems and mental issues. Basically, these 2 problems are the same. The main purpose of Buddha's teaching, as I explained to you earlier, is to set one's mind and one's consciousness free and unhindered, unfettered in many ways. And also, Buddha wanted thinking, the basic concept of thinking, to be enlightened, to be liberated, not in a conventional level. The purpose of meditation is to achieve that stage and that goal. In Buddhist texts, 2 beautiful words are used when a person achieves the higher state of enlightenment. These 2 words, let me repeat here today, are Citta Vimukti and Panya Vimukti. While we were young, still learning Buddhist texts, the interpretation of the Citta Vimukti is mental freedom that a disciple has achieved when he attained the last and the 4th stage of enlightenment. But in actual and practically relevant sense, That meant a freedom, a mind which is free from the fetters and from the shackles and from all the kind of the distracting and disturbing thoughts. Is attainable by ordinary people, especially those who are on spiritual path. If they practice mindfulness meditation committedly and on daily basis. The other word used in Buddhist text is pinya vimukti, the freedom of intellect. This is also interpreted in Buddhist text as the state where the enlightenment is achieved as the final destination. Even though it is said these two states are achieved by the one who attained the fourth stage of enlightenment, you can achieve, you do can achieve, you can taste it, even though they are not permanent, deeply rooted in your deepest level of your mind, your consciousness. But in the case of perfectly enlightened saints, this kind of two conditions are persistent, permanent, all the time, day and night, sleeping and waking up, being active or being inactive. For ordinary meditators like you, you can also benefit to this two idea freedoms of the minds and intellect. If you strive on the spiritual path persistently, with the dedication and with the sincere faith and trust in the power of the Dharma you practice, the power of the mind will become active and activated if you sincerely practice, if sincerely apply it in your inner being, in your consciousness, in your daily life. You need to apply it not only on the lip, but also in your heart and your spirit. Most people, when they assume themselves to be practitioners of the Dharma, they still forgot their practice. So they lost their mind. The moment anger arises, they behave badly. The reason is that they haven't attained certain degree of progress in their practice. We have to understand that, and we have to remind ourselves that the true part of spiritual freedom is very wonderful. It's a long and gradual process. The substantial change of the mind, the way one view things in life, will become more positive if one practices meditation regularly. So we need to be dedicated and committed meditators, even though we may not be able to commit full time. In this discourse, Buddha mentioned about these 7 strategies. I will try to explain in contemporary language without any technical complexities. Because what Buddha said sometimes use technical terms, and also some reference books, they used a lot of the literary reference and literary interpretations. These strategies are recorded in Majjhima Nikaya text, the middle length sayings of the Buddha, middle length discourse. The name of the sutta is called the Sabbaswa Sutta. The name of the sutta itself refers to all mental impurities, how to handle them. It's a very wonderful discourse. Now, let me share what Buddha has said. This sutta is very much relevant to your practice. Because a few days ago, we talked about purifications of goal versus purification of mind. And that is go Buddha compare purification of goal with the meditation practice. Because meditation practice is to make one's mind agitated, unadulterated, and uncontaminated, and thus to make pure. So purification of the mind need to apply multiple procedures. Mindfulness meditation is one of the major spiritual parts to purify. In Buddhist texts, Buddha has instructed many techniques to walk on the spiritual path. Some of the techniques which Buddha instructs are really easy because they don't need to rigorously involve in intensive practice. Just only need to keep aware by developing awareness and by reflecting on certain aspect of the nature of the conditioned things. And sometimes by repeatedly reminding oneself of the true nature of the body, such as 32 body parts, etc., which are referred to as Gagrasti in Buddhist texts frequently. And that Gagrasti is also very simple part for those who are having problems practicing continuous and dedicated practice. Now let me share what Buddha said in that discourse. Evam me suttan ekam smayam bhagava savatiyam virdi chidavani anata penika saarame. Once our Lord Buddha was staying in the city of Chavati in the Jeta group monastery, offered by the worthy supporter Anata Penika. Tatra ko bhagava bhikkhu amandedi. There Buddha addressed to the monks, Parandeli Deviku Bhagavado Pisaduru. Venerable, thus the monks replying, Bhagava Idatocha. Buddha said thus, Sabha Sawa Samvara Priyayam O Bhikkhve Desisami Tan Sunata Sarukam Nasigrota Ba Seitamini. Now, disciple, I'm going to teach you how one can use necessary strategy for restraining of all the mental impurities. And listen carefully and pay attention what I'm going to teach. Yes, Pandi, thus the disciples responded to the Buddha. Bhagavata Roja. Buddha said thus, Janado hambekwi basado aswanam khyamurami. Disciple, the eradication of the mental taints and impurities is possible only for the one who understands. No ajanado. It is impossible for the one who doesn't understand. Kaincha bekwe janado, kaincha basado aswanam khyamurami. And what a person needs to understand and see so that he can eradicate and remove the mental taints. Yoni socha manasikaram. Ayoni socha manasikaram. Keeping the mind properly. Keeping the mind improperly. These are two important words said by Buddha. These are two things a meditator should know. Keeping the mind properly. In Pali, it's called Yoniso Manasikara. This term is frequently used in Buddhist texts. I hope many of you may be quite familiar with this term. Yoniso means properly, rightly. Manasi, of the mind. Kara, keeping or acting. Keeping the mind and the attitudes rightly in the right way, as the way it should be, so that it prevents any unwholesome thing from happening. It continues and increase wholesome conditions. And the second word is ayoniso manasikara, keeping the mind improperly. Wrongly or wrong attitudes. These are two bases where all of the wholesome and unwholesome conditions arise and goes on and on, depending on how one's mental state is. This clearly shows that mind keeping is very important training. Keeping the mind in the right frame, in the right condition. Keeping the mind in the wrong frame, in the wrong condition, in the wrong way. These are two important things. All the good things, bad things, all good results and bad results, and suffering and happiness determine on this basic condition. What I'm going to explain. First, he explained about the consequence of keeping the mind improperly, in the wrong way. Ayoniso, Bhikkhve Manasi Karato, Anubana Jiva Aswa Obichandi. Disciple, for the one who keep his mind in the wrong way, in improper manner, those mental taints, mental impurities, which have not yet arisen, come up. Those mental impurities which have not yet arisen, arise and occur due to improper mind keeping, improper attitudes. Obanaja aswa pawatandi. Mental impurity which have been already arising, which have already arisen, and increased. Very much to the point. What Buddha says is very clear. Based on wrong attitudes, improper mind keeping, unwholesome mental taints and mental impurities start to arise, even though they haven't arisen yet. And those mental impurities which have arisen become increased and overwhelmed. Yoniso cha ko bhikkhve manasi kroto anupana jiva asawa na ubichandi. Obanaja aswa pahiyanti. On the other hand, disciples, for a person who keeps his mind in the right frame and the right condition, anupana jiva aswa na ubichandi. Mental impurities which have not yet arisen, they don't appear because he can keep his mindful awareness, his mindfulness present in his conscious flow. Obanasa aswa piyandi. Even those mental impurities which have arisen are removed easily by means of mindfulness, by means of right mental frame and right thinking. In this case, improper mind keeping proper mind keepings can be explained through the principle of mindfulness. In our daily life, everybody just have a casual mind and casual mental states, which lacks mindfulness. In such a condition, mental abilities will surely arise, and they may even increase if one forgot to watch them, to be mindful of them, so that one can pick up at the nick of the incidents, even before they start growing. But most of the time, we miss the point. We miss the opportunity to be mindful. And thus, unwholesome mental states keep coming back, such as anger, desire, and just confusion or mental restlessness and wandering thoughts. When a person keeps his mind rightly and properly through mindful observation, mindfulness, the mindfulness itself will act as a guard, as a protective measure against the unwholesome mental and seeding unwholesome mental impurities. These words of the Buddhas are very simple and self-explanatory. They are practically applicable and very relevant to those who are on spiritual path. Now Buddha continued to explain his multiple strategies very clearly in this discourse. Ati bhikkhve asava dasna bhadava. Disciples, they are mental impurities which can be removed and can be tackled by means of having right understanding. How wonderful it is. Buddha started his strategy by saying that in order to remove the mental impurities, one need to start with the right understanding. Without right understanding, even a scientist cannot make any invention, cannot make any breakthrough. He must understand what he's going to do, what he's doing. In the same way, if you are embark on the journey of spiritual path for mental purification and for developing a wonderful mind, to attain a lasting peace and calm in daily life, to possess that mental serenity and mental grace, you have to know your minds and your mental states, and both bad and goods, both challenge and pitfalls. When you understand that, you will be able to handle them. So Buddha clearly laid out his strategy. The first step is to have understanding, proper understanding, right understanding, by means of which a person can walk through this complex mission of the purification. It's very wonderful. This is the first strategy. Adi aswa samvara bhadava. Disciples, some mental impurities are to be removed and to be handled by means of restraint. This is more practical. You must use as a second step, restraining of the bodily action, restraining of the bhava action, restraining of the mental states. For the restraining of bhava actions and bodily action, you already observe reserves. You make moral ball every day by taking 8 precepts. This way you affirm and reaffirm that you will observe these 8 conditions, 8 rules and regulations. This way you keep your body content pure and sanctified. You give yourself empower. You give your spirit empower by means of having this moral empowerment and moral condition. For the mental restraint, you cannot use anything. There's no way, even in modern science, there's no method to restrain the mind. To restrain a person who is suffering from a very violent, adverse, and very violent mental breakdown, they may use some sort of the chemical drugs which suppress his emotion and mental states. But it's not long-lasting. The drugs used by psychiatric, they may give some instant relief in health, but there's no long-term health. There's no restraining tool invented by any scientist in the world. Mental restraining tool is only the mind, which you can develop through mindfulness meditation or proper awareness, or right mental keeping, right mental attitudes. This is the second strategy Buddha mentioned regarding the purifications of the consciousness and tackling and handling mental impurities. Now the third strategy Buddha mentioned, Ati Bhikkhve Asava Patisevana Bhadava. This is very unconventional and very much practical. Buddha said regarding the third strategy. Disciples, some mental impurities are to be handled by means of proper use and proper utilization. This is very wonderful. You may have heard about that. This third strategy is very wonderful strategy. Even myself never heard. Only when I understand this, Buddha's profound wisdom is very much amazing, beyond belief. He laid out this strategy of practical use. You need to use everyday things, but with a proper mind keeping, proper mental attitude. That's what it means. Now regarding number 4 strategy. Ati Bhikkhve Asava Ati Vasana Bhadava. Disciples, some impurities, some possible impurities are to be handled by means of application of the patient. This is also a very wonderful strategy. In handling sudden bad mental impurities, bad mental condition, you have to apply very wonderful patience, known as spiritual grace, in the face of suffering, without letting any unwholesome mental states come repeatedly. This is what this strategy means. Now, number 5 strategy. Ati Bhikkhve Asava Privajana Bhadava. Disciples, some mental taints and impurities are to be removed and to be handled by means of keeping a safe distance, by avoiding. Later, Buddha himself will explain all these strategies clearly, one by one. Ati Asava Vinodana Bhadava. Disciples, some mental impurities are to be removed, and by means of ignoring and reading off So some mental entities are to be removed by means of taking off, removing, and written off. This is number 6 strategy. Number 7 strategy. Buddha continue to explain. Ati Bhikkhu Aswa Bhavana Bhadava. Disciple, there are mental impurities and taints which are to be removed by means of development in one's own consciousness, in one's own mind. So altogether, Buddha outlined these 7 strategies. These 7 strategies are very wide and applicable in daily situations, not only in meditation, but also in all daily activities. Now I will explain what Buddha said in this sutta. Katameja bhikkhve aswa dasna bhadava. Disciples, what are those mental impurities that are to be removed by understanding? Ida bhikkhve asutawa puttojno. Hariyana adasawi. Hariyadamasa agovido. Hariyadame awinino. Sabri sana adasawi. Sabridas masa agovido. Okay, let me explain and translate and move briefly because quoting all these words maybe taking time. Here in this world, disciples, a commoner who never heard the noble teachings of the Buddha, who never seen any saints on the spiritual path, who is not familiar with the noble teachings of the Buddha, who is not trained in the way of the saints. He doesn't understand how to keep the mind properly. He doesn't understand how to how not to keep the mind. So manasi karaniye dame abhajanando. Amanasi karaniye dame abhajanando. Not knowing how to keep his mind properly, not knowing how to avoid improper mental condition, improper mental keep. Yedamana manasikraniya, dedme manasikrodi. He keep his mind in the wrong way. Yedama manasikraniya, dedme manasikrodi. He doesn't pay attention to what he should. He doesn't keep his mind properly, even though he should keep the mind properly. This is just only brief explanation. Buddha will continue to explain what he said. Father, kadmeja bhikkhve dhamma mana manasikraniya shedame manasikrodi. What are wrong, improper mind keeping through which one's unwholesome mental state, such as desire, attachment to for every form of existence, and ignorance arise and increases. This is what one should not keep in the mind. So Buddha explains, I want to simplify this. What's the wrong mind keeping? The wrong mind keeping is the way mind is improperly kept. By means of that improper mind keeping, desires start coming up and it increases repeatedly and on endlessly in our daily life. Also, attachment and clinging to one's life with the notion that I'm here forever. I'm going to live here forever. Even after this body perish, I will get eternal life. And such kind of notions and thoughts arise. And also, the endless cycle of delusion and ignorance increases. This is what round improper mind keeping means. This is a brief explanation of the Buddha. I just only use simple English so that you can understand what is round mind keeping. Round mind keeping is the gateway through continual chain of desire, continual chain of the clinging and attachment, continual chain of the wrong notions of I and me, and I'm going to be forever, and even after this body perish, I'm going to get eternity, eternal life, etc. This is wrong mind keeping. And Buddha continued to explain further. Katameja bekwe dhamma manasikraniya, ye dhamme manasikroti. What is the right mind keeping? By means of which unnecessary chain of unwholesome mental states, such as desire, clinging, and delusions, are discontinued and removed. This is right mind keeping. This is the one a commoner, no meditator, forgot to do that. Then what I'm going to explain? That's amanasikaraniyanam dhammana manasikara. Manasikaraniyanam dhammana amanasikara. Anupana jiva aswa ubichanti. Upanaja aswa pavadanti. For a person who have such improper mind keeping and who lacks proper mind keeping, mental impurities which have not risen, they keep coming up. And mental impurities which have arisen, they keep growing up repeatedly on and on in his mind, in his conscious flow. This is the result explained by Buddha. And the consequence of having improper mind keeping, not having proper mind keeping. What I'm going to explain further. Such a person, he starts thinking improperly. So even ayoniso manasikroti. That person, he starts thinking improperly. And this way, this is a Pali word. To translate it, was I in the past life? Or did I have existed in a past life before I'm in here? So regarding the past, he starts his speculative thoughts. Was there a life which I have lived in the past? This is the first thought. Nanu ko hosei adida madana. Or was I not in the past life? This means that have I not lived a life in the past before? He starts having such kind of confusion, and endless confusion, confusable thoughts. Kainuko Hosei, Adida Madana. In the past life, what kind of life I live? Katanuko Hosei, Adida Madana. In the past, how was my life? How I lived in the past? Kai Hodua, Kai Hosei, Nuko Adida Madana. In the past, having been in the past life, and how having there, having been what did I begin in the past? These are confusion, which have the connection with the past life and the past tense and the past time. Altogether, altogether 5 kind of confusion and 5 kind of thoughts arise. Was I in past life or was I not in past life? What was I in the past? How was my life in the past? Having been what and how it will be. So altogether, regarding the past time, he has 5 kind of confusion, doubt. This doubt is very much persistent and very nagging problem for everyone, for everything in person. Because life itself is a very difficult puzzle, a very complex riddle, which every religious believes, trying to find the answer. Why am I here? Why am I here? Who sent me here? What's the purpose of being here? Why am I suffering? Why am I having this and this, such kind of complex condition? We start thinking so many things regarding the present life. The more we think, the more it confuses us. The more it puzzles us, the more it bewilders. The more it bewilders our mind. The more we are bewildered, the more we find a solution. Maybe there must be someone up above in the sky who is manipulating us to smile us, to cry, and to be happy, to have this and that condition. He's all powerful, etc. We start finding such kind of easy answers. That's where the religions and religious belief begins. In this discourse, Buddha explained about this basic doubt and confusion of human beings. Buddha mentioned 5 kind of confusion regarding the past tense. Have I lived in the past life as a human, as a deity, or as a poor man, or as a rich man, etc.? A lot of thoughts coming up. How I live, where I live, and what my life was. And after that, how I have moved from one phase of life in the past to another phase of another conditions, etc. Such kind of complex thinkings arise. Because the more we thought about it, the more it confusing. Now, regarding the future, the same thoughts. Pavidami nuko hanagda madana. Will I be in the future? Will I exist in the future as an individual being? The first thought regarding the future. Nanuko boisami nagda madana. Will not I live another life in the future? This is the second confusion. And then, what kind of life I will live in the future? And this is the third confusing thought. And the fourth confusing thought. How I will live in the past? Will I be reborn in America, or in Asia, any particular country, or in the heaven, etc. And number 5, in the future, and after having been what and how I will be, how I will live my life in the future. It's more detailed thinking. This is the 5 confusing thoughts regarding the future. And altogether, 10 confusion, 10 kind of doubts. Now regarding the present, but I mentioned that Edariwa Pichopana Madana Ejadan Katakati Hodi. Regarding the present life, one start having such kind of thoughts. Hanuko Smith, do I live this life as a reality? No Nuko asked me, is there no I who is living? Kainuko asked me, what I am? Katanuko asked me, how I am. Ayanuko Sado Kudo Agdo. This being, referring one to oneself, this being known as Robert or Jenny, where it comes from? This being, which is being referred to as Robert or Jenny, and where it comes from. So where he will go once the lifetime expires. This is the confusion. 5 kind of confusion regarding the present life. We have a lot of confusion, including myself and all people in the world. They only find the true and very easy answer. Oh, this one is true. And this one is true. They have all kind of the answer to this and claiming it as a truth. And they even claim others are false. This is the way all religious beliefs are. It's a major theme, major characteristic of the whole belief system. In Buddha's text, there's one word said by Buddha frequently. Ida mewa sechang moga manya. Ida mewa, only this belief and this concept, this philosophy is truth. Moga manya. Others are false. This way, they claim supremacy and they reject others as false. This is the common pattern of the thinkers in ancient time, not only nowadays. Buddha reject it. Why? Why Buddha reject such kind of supremacist thinking? Let other reasonable thoughts and ideas come and analyze them. This is a basic position in Buddhist teaching. Let all philosophies and all ideas come and then analyze if they are applicable for the good and for the benefit of oneself and with the practical proven results. They are not to be rejected. It's a very wonderful, very fair, and very intellectual standing of the Buddha's intellectual position regarding various philosophies. You will see if you are expert in Pali how wonderful Buddha's intellectual position is regarding every kind of philosophies. He doesn't encourage to claim supremacies. So these are altogether 15 kind of confusion. But in this case, regarding presence, so Kuengami voiced from this being, where he will be born. And if we take this as a separate one, you're altogether 16 kind of confusion. How wonderful Buddha's teaching is in this discourse. Buddha mentioned about persistent doubt and confusions of human being, which arise based on improper mind keeping. Because we always want to be forever. Even though we are permanent residents and green card holders of the United States or citizens of the United States, we cannot be here in this country forever. We can live here for a certain duration of time. Our time is limited. You can claim permanent residency for a certain period of time, but you cannot claim permanent residency, permanent occupants of the world in any specific existence. But we don't want to accept it. We just want to entertain ourselves the thoughts of eternity. That's why our mind becomes clouded and diluted with the notions of me and I. And what I'm going to explain in this discourse, Tassa evam ayoniso manasi krodo chanandetina inyadra deti obechati. Having such an improper mind keeping, round views, one of the 6 round views emerge in the mind of a person. What are they? Buddha explained. First, atime atta diwa atsa sijjado thedado deiti obesti. There is me and there's atta. He started viewing this notion as the truth. So this is the first notion. There's me. There's a very, very strong, indestructible entity known as me and my atta, or soul. There's a soul, and there's an atta, which is indestructible, which is persistent and strong. This is the first view appears as a result. Then another view appears. Nati me atta diwa asa sijjado thedado deiti obesti. There comes up another wrong view, which views there's no atta. Life is just only temporary. There's no other no soul which you can see through practical means from a scientific perspective. Once the body stops functioning, everything associated with me and mine came to a tragic stop. The moment body is cremated and all the eyes and me's are gone in the smoke, in the trail of smoke, finished, nothing. All the smoke went up above and disappear. This kind of notion appears. Sometimes this kind of this kind of thinking is called the nihilistic view, nihilism, which rejects any spiritual nature. It only accepts physical aspect of life. Once this body stops functioning, there's nothing, finish. So this is the second wrong view appears. Buddha continue to explain, Atnawa Atana, Senjana Midiwa Ada, Sijado Tidado Didi Obesity. Ada is aware of Ada itself. One knows about oneself, so this is me and mine. That's I, because that's I know I am. This is also another view based on idealistic notion. Then another wrong view appears. Atanawa anadana senjanami. Ada aware of the memories and feelings and all other things. Then another notion, another wrong notion appears. Anadanawa adana senjanami. Without having ada, one is aware of things, of one's own environment, etc., and of oneself, etc. This wrong view also appears. Then another notion appears. Yomi ayang ada. Wado. This ada can speak. Video. This ada can feel, can experience the feeling. Tadra dadra kliana bhavgana kamana vibhagana britsamviridi. This ada go through the consequence of good and bad deeds in every existence. Tokobana mi ada, ayan ada, nature duo. Additionally, this ada is eternal, duo. It is everlasting. Satso, always present like the sun and the moon and the mountains and the oceans. It has never undergo any kind of transformation. Sadhati samantatewa tasti. This ada will exist like the sun and the moon and the mountains and the oceans and the earth exists. This is another notion explained by the Buddha. So altogether, 6 wrong views. These are actually very difficult to explain in simple English. Even in the ordinary Pali, it's quite difficult to interpret. So I'm trying my best to explain so that you can have a feel, a little bit of understanding about what it means. These are very profound thinking. Buddha expounded many centuries ago. His thoughts, his thinkings are very deep and intellectual and based on logic and reality. Now Buddha continued to explain. Idam ochti bekwe detikdan detikana. Disciple, such kind of wrong views and such kind of continuous process of the thinking is called ticket of the views. Detikantaram. Entanglement of the beliefs, deity visuga, and shaking of the wrong view, and barrier holdings of the wrong views. Deity sanyojana, binding concepts of the human belief, which always keep one shackled and imprisoned. Regarding belief, Buddha sometimes use deity sanyojana. The views themselves are like imprisonment. They keep one's consciousness, one's thought imprisoned. They don't dare to explore out because it is said, no, you are not allowed to criticize our belief. The moment you start having thoughts and skeptic thought, you are a disbeliever. And being disbeliever is not good because there's eternal hell. And such kind of restriction and limitations appear. That's why Buddha used the term Deity Sanyojana. It's very relevant and very much realistic. And Buddha continued to explain further. Deity Sanyojana Sanyoto Bhikkhve Asuttawa Putojano. Disciple, a commoner who is not informed about the right things, who is always chained and shackled by this kind of wrong views. Na primochti chadiya jaraya maranina soke pridvi duki domna se ubase cannot liberate from repeated births and repeated old age and repeated death and repeated suffering of the sorrows and limitations and physical sufferings and mental pains and anguish. Na primochti dukkha samadhi urami. If one is always chained and shackled by wrong views, I declare that he will not be able to liberate from suffering. So what Buddha means that we have to set ourselves free from wrong notions and wrong thinkings so that we can embark on a spiritual path to liberate our mind, to liberate our intellect, to end our suffering. Buddha continued to explain, Sutta Vacha Ko Bhikkhve Ariya Savako Ariya Nandasavi Ariya Dhamasa Koviro Ariya Dhame Suvinido Manasikarani Dhame Chanadi. On the other hand, disciple, one who is well informed of the Buddha's teaching, the noble teaching of the saint, knows how to keep the mind properly, how not to keep the mind. Knowing this will set him free. That's what Buddha said in this discourse. Let me continue to explain it next time, because this discourse is very wide and very broad in explanation and application of the strategies. May all of you be able to understand what Buddha said and use your own wisdom and your own logical thinking in terms of your daily development of the mind and removing mental impurities. May you progress on your spiritual path. Sadhu, sadhu.